Welcome to Good as Gold, hosted by Nick Grovich, a show dedicated to helping you understand precious metals and rare coins, how to avoid the pitfalls when buying, and how to understand the inner workings of the precious metals markets. Have a question? Call our local office at 1-800-221-7694. That's 1-800-221-7694. Or visit us online at www.americanfederal.com. Now, here's the host of Good as Gold, Nick Grovich.
Hi, this is Nick Grovich. We're live today in Phoenix. Last weekend I was in New Mexico with my fiance, and we were driving around town. I won't say which town, but we were in town. We were driving around, and as we came up to a light, I just started laughing, and my fiance looked at me like I was crazy. And I saw there was a building, a little stucco building, and it had a big sign on the side of it, and it said donuts and coins. And I took a picture. I might put it up on the website, but it's kind of crazy when gold gets hot. All of a sudden, everybody's a gold dealer or a coin dealer. I think everybody thinks they know a little something about it, and they think they can get in and buy and sell coins and make a couple dollars. I know out near my office, I walk around town. I see the shoe repair store has a sign that they buy gold and coins. The barber shop buys gold and coins. And of course pawn shops. There's a lot of pawn shops around that buy coins and buy gold too. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is I talk to a lot of people. I mean, we've got hundreds of people that call every month, and they ask questions. And a lot of people will call and say, gee, I bought this coin or I sold this coin and I think I got ripped off or I think I paid too much. And sometimes I'm just floored by where people go to I'm floored by the places that people go, and then they wonder why maybe they didn't get the best investment or the best purchase that they could have gotten. I'll tell you, the donuts and coins, that was a first for me. I never saw a donut coin shop. Maybe you get a donut with each coin or something. I'm not really sure how that worked. I should have probably stopped in to see what they had there. I don't know how qualified these people are. Maybe it's a frustrated coin collector. Maybe it's somebody who just really likes coins and they have a shop and they throw a sign up to buy gold and buy coins. When gold was really roaring ahead here a few years back, there was a gold shop on almost every corner. I know in Phoenix, you could get off the freeway, and in just about every major strip mall, you'd see a sign, someone buying gold or buying coins, and it's just kind of crazy. People think that just because someone's buying gold or silver or coins, that they are automatically a fiduciary agent. In other words, they think that these people have their best interests at heart, and that's something I mention that a lot on the air because I see it so often. I just got a letter from a prospective client I'm going to see. I'm going to see next week, and he's got a very large collection. And right in his initial letter, he's telling me about this very, very rare $10 Indian that he bought from another dealer who I know. And he paid $86,000 for this coin, and the coin's really worth about $25,000. So, in his letter, again, he says, he thinks that the company he bought from really failed in their fiduciary responsibility to him. And, the first thing I had to remind him of when I called him was that, and I say this a lot on the air, I say this a lot on the phone, and I write about it all the time. Don't assume that a coin dealer has any kind of responsibility to talk to you about investments, because we can pass information along, we can give you populations, prices, history, all that type of thing. But most of the time you're talking to a salesman, and that salesman's job is to sell you something. So you should really have your own financial planner or I guess financial planner if you're going to get into coins and gold, and ask them if it's right for you. But that's the kind of thing you should know before you start calling around and talking to coin dealers, because coin dealers' job is to sell coins, and that's basically all that they're going to be interested in doing when you call them. Like I said, this one client bought a coin for $86,000 simply because he thought that the dealer was acting as his financial agent, and that just really doesn't work too often. So if you have coins and you want to find out what they're worth or what they sell for, there's a lot of different ways that people buy and sell coins. And, one of them, if you have coins for sale, of course, one way you can go about it is to go to an auction. And I get a lot of people who call me up and they say, "Oh, I'm consigning my coins to auction. I think that's the best way to get the most money out of it." And I guess on the face of it, a lot of people think auctions are good. You have a bunch of buyers there. They're going to bid it up, and it's going to go for the highest price. But what you have to realize about coin auctions, unless you have something that's really, really exceptional, something really rare that's not seen in the market that much, the chances are you're not going to have buyers at an auction bidding against each other for something common. For example, an MS-65 $20 St. Gaudens, that's a coin it's very, very common. You could buy hundreds of those. I could buy hundreds of those without ever leaving my office. I could make a couple of phone calls and buy 100 or 200 or 300 of those coins. So why would I go to an auction to buy those coins? The only reason I would go to an auction is if I thought I could buy them at a bargain. And that's what generally happens at auctions if you have anything common. The Coin Dealer newsletter, if you're familiar with that, that's the weekly letter that comes out to just about every dealer in the country. And they post the prices paid that week, or the highest bids from the previous week, and keeps the dealers updated as to what's going on in the market, what kind of transactions have taken place. And it's as close to reality as you're going to get if you want to keep current with rare coin prices. But even they will report on the coin auctions. And of course, the front page is always talking about the coins that break new price records, like the $1794 that went for $10 million, or an $1804 that went for $8 million, or a variety of other coins that bring new world record prices. But a lot of times they'll make comments too about the common coins, and they'll come right out and tell you that a lot of times they'll actually list a handful of coins. Say, here's coins that you could have made money on simply by buying the coin at auction for anywhere from 30 to as much as 70% less than what the current bid price is. And there's dealers who make money that way. You could probably make a living just going to auctions, knowing what the bid prices are on a variety of coins, and buy the coins at auction for, if you buy them for 30 or 50% less than bid, you buy them, you turn around, you hit the bid, you just made a heck of a nice profit. So you buy a $100 coin for $50, turn around the next day and hit bid for $100, you did pretty good.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
All right, we're back with you. If you have anything you want to talk about or you have any questions, inevitably I get back to the office after a radio show, and I usually have 2 or 3 people who've left messages and want me to give them a call back and answer questions. And the reason I'm mentioning this, if you have a question, give me a call here. I'll be glad to answer it on the air, because I can guarantee if you have a question about something, there's probably a lot of other people out there. For some reason, I think people feel funny calling a radio station to talk. If you want to call here live today, call 602-324-1510. Again, 602-324-1510. It always makes it easier for me if you have something you want to talk about or have questions about something. I don't know why it is. People always feel funny calling a radio station. I have a cousin who's actually a pretty big radio personality back in Philadelphia, And I even feel funny calling him. I'll call him whenever I'm in Philadelphia, and they always quiz me a little bit. What's your grandmother's name? What's your grandfather's name? Before they let me on the air with him. And he always kind of razzes me. He says, "Yeah, sure, you have to come to Philadelphia before you can call me on the air. Never call me at home." But I don't know why I'm telling you that. It just kind of came to my mind as I'm talking about this. The other thing I want to mention too is we do have another seminar coming up, and I'm going to let Jennifer tell you about the seminar.
Oh my gosh, you're letting me talk on the air. Yay! We are hosting a seminar at the Lakes Recreation Center, which is Westbrook Village. It's the Sun City, Peoria area on Wednesday, May 20th. We'll be there from 1 to 3. Talking, all of us, well, how many of us will be there? Most of all of us go to the seminars here in Arizona.
Yeah.
So we'll all be there. You can meet us all, bring your coins, your lists, but Don, Carl, and Nick will be talking. We do want you to RSVP to us at the office, which is 480-553-5282. You also can sign up online at AmericanFederal.com. Go to the events section of our website and fill out the form there. We'll get you a spot reserved. Right now we've got 15 people signed up so far, which is awesome. It's still May 20th, but we're looking for at least 40. So that's about what we have room for. So we're hoping we get some more calls.
Thanks, Jennifer.
But it should be fun, right?
Yeah, they're always fun.
Yeah.
The last seminar we had felt like old home week. I knew half the people that showed up. It was like getting together with a lot of old friends. And the thing about the seminars too, if you have coins you need values on, we can value them. Whether you bring the actual coin or you bring a list. We had a seminar over in Honolulu, about a month ago?
Yeah.
2 months ago?
Yes.
And a couple of funny stories that happened there. We had one gentleman came in, and he had a bunch of old Chinese coins that I didn't get the complete story because he gave him he dealt with Don, but apparently his grandfather or his great-grandfather had brought these coins over from China when they moved to Hawaii way back. I'm not sure when, but way back when. And he just had various, we call them junk dollars because they have a picture of a junk, the boat. They call the boats junks. It's not that it was a crappy dollar, it was a junk dollar. And they have dollars with dragons on them. They have dollars they call the Fat Man, which is one of the emperors. So they have a huge variety of Chinese coins. So sometimes on the Chinese coins in particular, it takes a little while for me to figure out which coin it is, because if you ever pick up a foreign catalog, the section on China is many pages long because their history goes back so far, and there's so many different provinces that issued coinage. But usually an average coin, I'm going to call it a Chinese dollar for lack of a better term. It's actually a one yuan, which is equal to our dollar at that time. Most of them they're worth $45, $50 if they're in decent shape. One of the coins that this particular gentleman had, I was surprised actually at how nice the coins were. They were loose, they weren't wrapped up, but somehow two of the coins were still in brand new shape. They had tarnished or toned a little bit because of the way he stored them. But one coin turned out to be worth, I'm not sure exactly where it's going to end up, but at least $2,000, and we might end up getting him as much as $5,000 for that coin. So, there's something that was just rattling around in his drawer that he didn't know anything about. And, chances are, and this is why I mentioned the donut shop, coin shop, and the pawn shops, a lot of times, especially on foreign coins or Chinese coins, dealers don't really, not dealers, but people that aren't really familiar with the foreign coins, maybe they don't have the catalogs, maybe they don't really know that market, maybe they don't even know where to go to find out. So, a lot of times you'll take a coin like that in, they'll look at the coin, they'll figure out it has $20 worth of silver in it, and they'll pay you for the silver basically. So, imagine if he had gone to a local shop and gotten $20 or $25 for the coin. The dealer might have thought it was just a $50 coin. It was going to make $25. He would have gave away as much as $4,900 on that coin. Another client had a really interesting story. He had, I don't want to say a can of coins that apparently his parents had buried. This is in Hawaii, way back in the 20s. And he dug that up and he brought the coins, and it was a jar full of $20 St. Gaudens. And it always amazes me that people just have these coins and they bury them and they pull them back out. And most of these coins out of this jar were MS-65 quality. And because he was in Hawaii, I don't know where they got the coins naturally, but typically coins in Hawaii would have been minted in San Francisco because that's the West Coast mint back then, and would have been shipped over there. So a lot of his coins were San Francisco mint, and a lot of those St. Gaudens from San Francisco are worth quite a bit of money too. And he had a huge variety. He had 1915S, 1911Ss. So again, these coins, and I don't know what every mom and pop shop would price them at, but I can tell you, if you call dealers or just walk into the shops and ask them what a St. Gaudens worth, they're probably going to tell you $1,100 or $1,200. And again, he had 15 or 20 coins that were worth over $5,000 a piece that he just really didn't know anything about. So he brought those in. I got a chance to look at them. Now he decided not to sell the coins. Simply because they were family heirlooms. He didn't need the money, but at least now he knows what they're worth. We were able to get the coins graded for them, so now at least they're protected for his, if he wants to give them to his children or pass them on for the generations. At least they know what they have. They're not just going to give something away because they don't know what it's worth. And one last story from a seminar. This is actually from years ago. This in Phoenix. I had a lady who brought in another St. Gauden, and over the phone, all she had told me was it was a St. Gauden. At the time, an average St. Gauden was going for $1,000 to $1,200. This was a few years ago, and she told me she had taken it to a couple different dealers, and she was offered anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 for the coin. Well, I finally talked her into bringing it to our office. This is when we used to be on Cave Creek Road. And it ended up being a 1907 high relief St. Gauden. The high relief St. Gauden was only made for a very short time in 1907, and it's exactly what the name says. It's a high relief. It's a very, very high relief coin. In fact, the details on the coin are so rounded and so high that the problem was the coins wouldn't stack because the relief on the coin, that is the Liberty and the Eagle, were so high that the coin was almost round. The reason they made those was that President Roosevelt was a big fan of the ancient Greek and Roman coins, and that's how they made their coins. They were very high relief coins. They weren't made for stacking because they didn't have banks and they didn't roll coins back then. So they pretty much made them by hand. So Roosevelt wanted the U.S. coins to be very, very beautiful and went back to this ancient Roman type of look to the coins. And the 1907 high relief, I mean, if you're a collector, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Even most people who barely know anything about rare coins know about the 1907 high relief. But to cut to the chase, the coin was a high relief, which even a worn out, beat up high relief coin is going to go for $3,000 to $5,000. And this coin turned out to be an MS-64 coin, which at the time was worth just shy of $30,000. So, again, I don't know where she took the coins, but she was offered $1,000 to $1,500 for the coins. I don't know if she took them to actual dealers or if she took them to a pawn shop or where she took them. But I guess my point is, if you're going to have your coins looked at, evaluated, priced, or if you're looking to sell coins, you really need to do a little homework and make sure you deal with somebody who's an actual coin dealer, not just someone who deals in gold or someone who's just a salesman. Because if you have somebody who's been in the market and preferably a professional numismatic guild member, they're bound to tell you exactly what that coin is and give you some good information. And, people lose thousands or tens of thousands of dollars by not doing their homework.
And here's Nick Grovich.
Nick Grovich back with you.
I do have to interrupt you. Yeah. Okay, we have gotten phone calls at the office. So for the seminar on May 20th, there are a limited number of seats. It is a free seminar, too. It's a great way to learn more information from Nick on a Wednesday afternoon. But there are just a few seats left. We got a great response. I don't know, maybe it's just talking about it on the radio.
Probably so.
Check out the website, AmericanFederal.com. Hopefully there's still room. But it is Wednesday the 20th at the Lakes Recreation Center, Westbrook Village, which is 91st Avenue and Union Hills in the Sun City area. But don't miss out on this. We try to do some seminars throughout Arizona. This could be the only time on that side of town. So make sure you get your spot. And it is for free. So give us a call and reserve it today.
Thanks
All right.
again, Jen.
You got it. You got it.
Well, today I didn't really have an agenda. I just wanted to talk about different coins. I'm not talking so much about gold and silver. I mean, gold and silver they've been up and down, and they just seem to be hanging out. Gold's hanging out right around $1,200. Silver is hanging out just right around between $16, $17. I don't see a lot of news right now. It seems like the metals markets are really just reacting to whatever happens, with the statistical numbers every week. If the Fed sneezes, gold goes up. If things look good, it goes down. It's just really moving pretty much lockstep against the dollar. The dollar goes up, gold goes down. So, it's a good time, and I've said this before, it's a good time when things are kind of quiet like this. That's the time you really want to find out what your coins are worth. Make sure you're in the right kind of coins. Make sure you really want to be in coins. And, one thing I wanted to talk about is actually the coin market. I've been the one dealer who has not recommended rare coins in 20 years. And when I do start talking about coins, which I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 months, I don't know. I think I get some people say, "Well, wait a minute, you don't like rare coins." Well, I love rare coins. It's just when gold was going up, almost monthly for 12 years, there was no reason to really look around for any kind of alternative. It was much easier to just own bullion and kind of watch that market, and most of my clients did very well by just simply staying in bullion. And for most people, that's still probably the best idea. You just want to have your core position. You want to have some gold, maybe some silver stuck away, and just stick it away and pretty much forget about it. That's your insurance. That's your rainy day fund. But more and more, I am seeing that people are buying what they think are rare coins, and most of the time they're buying just whatever is being promoted out there. And it kind of drives me crazy because I see people paying $4,000 for 2015, so a brand new gold buffalo or gold eagle because they're graded MS70. So they're basically paying $4,000 an ounce for gold when gold's really only $1,200 an ounce. It's not a good way to buy coins. And I see people that have multiples of these coins. They have, the modern proof sets. They have, and it adds up. I think a couple of weeks ago I was talking about a client of mine in the Midwest who, over time ended up with $1.5 million worth of coins. And, you'd think with $1.5 million, you'd have some pretty spectacular coins. He didn't. He just had the same stuff that every other semi-investor, I don't know if I really call them investors, but he had the same thing as everybody else. So, I look at things like that and I think, well, if you want to really be in rare coins, I think at this point in the market, a lot of different coins make sense right now. Again, I wouldn't go sell all my gold and silver and jump into the coin market, but I think what you're going to see happen is going to be very similar to what happened back in the early 80s. You had gold had just dropped, silver had just dropped. People were waiting for it to turn around and go back up, which is exactly what's happening now. Gold's been down for over 3 years, and every day somebody calls me and says, "Well, when do you think gold's going to go back up? What's it going to be by the end of the year?" There's still guys out there saying that gold's going to $5,000. I read an article yesterday, somebody saying $9,600 gold by the end of the year. I don't know. Maybe if something really dramatic happened, you might get a huge jump in the price of gold. But my gut feeling is that we're going to see a settling out here. I don't know if we've seen the bottom or not, but we're going to see a settling out, and it could go on for a few more years. Last time it took 20 years before gold started moving back up. So don't think just because it came down from $1,900 to $1,200 that it's automatically going to turn around and go up. It's a great time. If you are in the accumulation phase, it's a great time. Buy a little when you have the money. Buy 5 or 10 ounces every month and stick it away while it's low. But again, I wouldn't do it thinking that you're going to make a huge windfall by the end of the year. So a lot of people that I talk to, they have portfolios of what they think are rare coins, and all they really have is overpriced bullion coins. And that's one of the reasons I'm talking about rare coins again. I think people are going to start looking for alternatives. The longer gold stays down, the better rare coins are looking to me. But just to give you an example, I just bought a 1914 proof set. And that's the matte proof Lincoln cent, the matte proof Buffalo nickel, and then the proof Barber dime, quarter, and half. And a set like that, back in the heyday of the 80s, I doubt if you could have put that set together for $125,000 to $150,000. Now I'm just guessing that off the top of my head. I could be off a little bit, but I'll bet you that set would have cost $125,000 to $150,000 very easily. Well, this is a set I just picked up for right around $24,000. And you want to talk about the scarcity. 1914 is the last year that the mint made proof coins until they got into the mercury dimes in 1936. So it was before World War I, before they changed a lot of what was going on at the mint because of the war. But 1914 was, like I said, the last year of the classic coin proofs. They didn't make that many proofs of the Buffalo nickels, the Lincoln cents, the Standing Liberty quarters, which were the next in line after the Barber coins. They didn't even make proof coins. So it's the last year. Because it was the last year, they stopped making them. One reason they stopped making them is because they didn't have that much interest in the coins. You got to remember, in 1914, not too many people really collected coins. So I started looking at this. The $50, they made 380 coins. The quarter, they made 380 coins. And the dime, they made 425 coins. So that's a truly, truly rare coin. And the whole set in proof 67, which is a very, very high grade set, that's something that goes for, like I said, about $24,000. Now, are you going to get rich on the set? I don't know. Could it go to $50,000, $60,000? Yeah, it could. The thing I like about it is the proof coins they've been inching up, and just inching up the last 4 or 5 years. But, for the last 20 years, they've pretty much just been a collector's item. Dealers have not promoted them, which I like, because that means you haven't had the outside influence of dealer promotions moving the price. They've been stable, pretty stable at the prices they're at right now. And, I look at something like that, and I think there's very little risk involved in a set like that. And I look at people that have $100,000, $200,000, $1 million worth of brand new modern coins that they think are rare that really have very little chance of becoming profitable or extreme rarities. And I think, geez, instead of having a bunch of modern eagles or a bunch of foreign coins in high grade that you're basically crossing your fingers and hoping they're going to someday be worth something or someday appeal to collectors, here you have classic American coins that have gone down to the price that basically the collectors are willing to buy them at. When the dealers stop promoting an area or don't promote an area, the true market takes over. The true collectors market takes over, and the coins are priced at a level where collectors are willing to buy and sell the coins, and that's where coins like that are right now. To me, a set like that I think it's a great deal. Another way you could go, and again, I'm saying if you already have gold and silver, you want to take a look at something new, something that's more interesting, something that most other people are not going to have. You could also put together something like a 3-coin set, maybe barber dime, a barber quarter, and a barber half. Again, I would go with proof 66 or proof 67 quality. But those coins, those 3 coins back in the 80s, you probably would have been lucky to buy those 3 coins for $70,000 or $80,000, and today you could buy those 3 coins for maybe $11,000 or $12,000 for a proof 67, one of each of those. I just think there's some real value there, and you end up with coins that not every other so-called investor or speculator has. You end up with something that's really more unique and something that has a real collector's value, a real history behind them. So if you're interested in something like that, or you're just curious about it, give the office a call, 480-553-5282, and I'd be glad to talk to you about it. Maybe it's right for you, maybe it's not. I'm not going to give you a hard sell, but if you're sitting on a bunch of semi-rare coins or coins that really aren't rare at all, you really just need to go one way or the other. Either just stick it in bullion or put it in some really, really nice rare coins and give yourself a chance to enjoy something historically significant and something that might have a decent chance of appreciating for you. When we get back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the auctions. I also want to give you some interesting facts about silver dollars, because I know a lot of dealers are pushing those right now.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Okay, I'm back with you. Bouncing around here a little bit, just based really on what's interesting me today. Since you're not calling and asking me questions, I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. I was reading a story in the Numismatics, which is put out by the American Numismatic Association, and they were talking about silver dollars. And the reason I just wanted to touch on this, maybe next week or the week after, I'll go more in depth about silver dollars and why they were made and how they were made and how they were. You always hear dealers will talk about how many were melted down. But it's all, the silver dollar really had more to do with politics than anything else. There was a huge amount of silver being produced in Nevada, and there just simply weren't enough buyers for silver. In fact, around the turn of the century, the last century, about the only big buyer of silver was the British government. The British government was using the silver, and this is a whole nother story, but they needed silver to satisfy commitments in India. And like I said, I won't go into all the details right now, but in the magazine, they're showing the construction of the third Philadelphia Mint, and it's really pretty interesting, because what they did is they built the basement vaults and put the silver dollars in the vaults and then built the mint around the silver dollars. And at one time in 1912, they had enough silver coins. I'm reading this out of the magazine now. They had enough silver coins in the vault to fill 555 freight train cars. And it says that would make a solid train over 6 miles long. If the silver dollars were stacked one on top of the other, they would go 835 miles high. And if they could be laid in a continuous line, they would go for 13,000 miles. So why am I bothering to bring this up? Number one, I think it's really interesting to look at this picture. It's a huge building, and the entire basement is simply just to store the silver dollars. People have this idea in their mind that silver dollars are so rare and that they were so popular back when they were made. And they were popular out west more than anywhere. For some reason, it seems like there's a lot of silver dollars that come out of Montana. I mean, that's where I've seen the biggest collections come from. But it was more, they were more used on the West Coast than anywhere else. The East Coast, you almost never saw a silver dollar. But when the government was making currency, you have to remember the old dollars, $5, $10, they had to actually back it with something. So that's why they had silver certificates. And for every silver certificates, for every $1 silver certificate, they had to have one silver dollar stored in the Philadelphia Mint. And so that's why they got into this huge problem of storing dollars. The previous mint, they had a problem at the mint, and water was getting in and not destroying it, you can't destroy silver, but destroying the coins. And so they built the third Philadelphia mint. And it's really an interesting story. It it took them 2 weeks just to unload all the silver dollars off of the wagon trains that they brought them in. I mean, can you imagine 2 weeks of doing nothing but unloading wagons and stuffing all that into the vault system? It goes on farther. In 1887, they ran out of space at the Philadelphia Mint, and they started storing them at the post office. They had over 20,000 of them stored at the Philadelphia post office, and they're talking about it took 12 wagons to transfer 19 million silver dollars at that point. So, I hear dealers all the time, or I should say I have clients call me all the time and talk about how rare silver dollars are and why they're buying these rare silver dollars. The government had so many silver dollars, they frankly didn't know what to do with the coins. And it is kind of interesting because the story you hear now, if you start reading about silver, everybody talks about Ted Butler and his report of the shortage of silver, and that goes all the way back to 1919. The senator from Nevada, of course, the silver mining state, was claiming that the demand for silver outmatched the production of silver by 100%. So if you've read the Ted Butler information, that's exactly what he's still saying. Almost 100 years later, they're still saying there's a silver shortage. Everyone was competing for one buyer, which was the British government. And basically, the government got involved to try and keep the price of silver at $1 an ounce. Anytime it dipped below $1, they would be forced to buy silver. And of course, what did they do with the silver? They minted it into silver dollars. At one point, they had, according to the article here, they had over 300 million silver dollars in storage. That's a lot of silver dollars. So when you put this in perspective, and dealers try and sell MS-65 or even MS-66 silver dollars and talk about the rarity of the coins, you're talking about hundreds of millions of coins that the government didn't know what to do with. Now, granted, later they did melt, I don't know the exact number, but they did melt hundreds of millions of coins. But I think if you added up how many they made, I don't know the exact number, but last time I looked, I thought it was somewhere around 1 billion coins in silver dollars. So you're not buying anything rare when you buy silver dollars. You're basically buying overpriced bullion. A circulated Morgan dollar, what you have to remember, it's only 3/4 of an ounce of silver, and most dealers are charging anywhere from $28 to $38 a coin for it. Personally, I'd rather have 2 silver eagles or 2 1-ounce rounds, or just silver bullion. You're going to end up with twice as much, and it's going to go up penny for penny with the price of silver. So, if you are interested in silver dollars, it's really interesting. You could go online, read about the Pittman Act, read about you could probably find this article if you went on to the numismatist site. I'm sure that article's online, but it just boggles my mind to think of 835 miles worth of silver dollars, and that's just what was stored. That has nothing to do with what was made. The government, right up into the 60s, they still had bags of silver dollars. And, for those of you who are older, maybe you remember going to Las Vegas and buying silver dollars. I knew a dealer who made his fortune. He was in Vegas at that time, and he would simply go down to the casinos, and, the government didn't keep track of what they sent to Nevada to the casinos. They just had silver dollars, and they wanted to get rid of them. And what this dealer would do is he would go down there and take a look at what different dates they sold, and he'd find a date that was a little bit more rare. So maybe he'd find a date that maybe they were going for $5 a coin instead of $1 a coin. Well, that's a 500% profit. It's pretty good. So he would go to the casinos. He'd buy their silver dollars. He'd market them to collectors and then go back and buy a few more bags. So there's a lot of money been made and lost in silver dollars. But like I said, the point is, be careful when you're buying this kind of thing. The salesmen have some pretty good stories. They talk about how great the silver dollars are. Are they historically significant? Absolutely, they are. Are they a beautiful coin? That's a matter of taste, I guess. There's other articles. There were huge fights about the Morgan dollars because most of the sculptors and the people at the mint thought that was the ugliest coin the mint ever made. And the director of the mint, for some reason, loved the coin, so they refused to change the design of the coin. But like I said, right up until the 60s, the government had coins. And even into the 80s, if anyone remembers back in, I think it was 76 and then again in the early 80s, they found millions and millions of Carson City silver dollars. Carson City, for those of you who aren't aware, that's one of the more popular mints. A lot of people collect Carson City coins. And for the most part, they're usually rarer coins, but the mint or the government found literally millions of those coins in the mid-70s, and they sold them to the public. They had auctions. They had, I think they found over 2 million of the 1884 Carson Cities. They found almost the entire mintage still sitting in the bank vault uncirculated.